In the middle of the savannah, 35-year-old animal behaviorist Mark Thompson was driving his Jeep for research. Suddenly, the Jeep's engine
died.
He checked the dashboard. Out of fuel, he grabbed the radio, but only static crackled through. In the distance, he spotted a rocky hill. Maybe he could get a signal there. He started walking toward the rocks.
As
he approached, Mark discovered animal droppings. Upon closer inspection, it was fresh, less than 5 minutes old. Adult male lion droppings. Mark knew exactly how dangerous this situation
was.
Goosebumps covered his body as he slowly scanned his surroundings. A thunderous roar erupted from the rocks. 20 m ahead, a massive albino male lion. Beneath his pure white fur, a deep, cross-shaped scar marked above his left eye. Mark could easily see the lion's exposed ribs. He was starving.
The
lion's red eyes fixed on Mark.
The
killing intent was suffocating. Mark tried to figure out how to escape this crisis. His car had no fuel and base camp was 20 kilometers away. The chances of someone finding him by accident were slim. With no radio signal, he was completely isolated. There seemed to be no way out. The old male lion slowly approached. The sound of claws scraping the ground grew closer. Mark's heart pounded frantically. He closed his eyes. Is this how it ends? Just then, a powerful roar exploded from the left. The air turned cold.
2
shadows rushed in like a storm and blocked Mark's path in an instant.
A
young albino male lion and a female lioness. Mark opened his eyes. The young lion slowly turned his head to look at him. In that moment, Mark's heart seemed to stop. An albino lion with amber eyes. Albino but not red eyes. The same amber eyes as regular lions. Mark's lips trembled. Memories from 2 years ago flooded his mind like a tsunami. 2 years ago, Mark was observing a pride of lions through binoculars from
his car.
One albino lioness caught his
eye.
Something was off. The lioness kept turning her head toward a gap in the rocks. Extremely anxious, she crouched low, ears alert, constantly surveying her surroundings. She was hiding
something.
Moments later, the lioness entered the gap and emerged carefully, carrying something in her mouth, a small, white ball of fur. An albino cub. Through his binoculars, Mark's face hardened the moment he saw the cub.
The
cub's tiny body was covered in deep claw marks and bite wounds. Blood continued to flow from its left shoulder. Mark immediately understood. A new male had taken over the pride and was killing all the cubs of the previous leader. Moments later, Mark witnessed an unbelievable sight. The lioness carrying her cub began walking slowly toward Mark's car. Wild lions never approach humans, especially when they have cubs. But the lioness didn't stop. She carefully placed the cub on the ground and stepped back. The lioness looked directly into Mark's eyes. Her gaze was filled with desperation. My baby is dying. You're the only one.
Please.
Mark's chest tightened. His hands trembled. He slowly opened the car door, stepped out, approached the cub, and knelt down. The wounds were serious. Infection was spreading rapidly. The body temperature was too high. Clearly, the male's attack. Mark carefully lifted the cub into his arms. Its tiny heart was beating irregularly. He looked at the lioness and nodded.
A promise to
save her cub. The hospital was over 50 kilometers away.
The
cub might not survive the journey. Mark immediately started the engine and headed home. About 5 minutes passed. Mark looked in the rearview mirror and was shocked. The lioness was running at full speed behind him. For 30 kilometers to his home, the lioness ran without stopping, tongue hanging out, panting heavily, covered in dust, kicked up by the wheels. Yet she didn't stop. Her feet stumbled. Her body swayed side to side. She looked ready to fall, but regained her balance and kept running.
This was a
mother's heart. Everything she could do for her cub, even if her legs broke, even if she couldn't breathe, even if her heart burst for her one and only baby, never giving up. That was everything a mother could give. When they arrived near Mark's home, the lioness was about to collapse. Her entire body was covered in sweat and
dust.
Blood flowed from her paw pads, but her eyes still focused on her cub. Mark got out of the car, carried the cub, and entered the house.
He
immediately began emergency treatment. He cleaned and disinfected the wounds and administered antibiotics. "You're going to be all right." He carefully treated the infected areas. The cub's small body trembled, but Mark didn't stop. After hours of treatment, the cub's breathing began to stabilize. He stood by the window and showed the cub to the lioness. Alive, safe.
The
lioness collapsed on the grassland 50 m from the house. She couldn't move anymore, but her eyes remained fixed on the window. Night fell on the savanna. Raindrops began to fall from the sky. Drizzle, then heavier.
It became a
downpour. Mark looked out the window. The lioness was still sitting in the same spot, drenched in rain, not moving, staring at the house. Lightning flashed, and thunder roared. But the lioness didn't flinch. Dawn broke. The rain had fallen all night. As the sun rose and the rain lessened, only then did the lioness slowly stand and stagger away. The next morning, Mark woke to a strange
sound.
He opened the door to find a large antelope lying at the entrance, still warm, freshly hunted. 50 m away, the lioness sat quietly. Mark's eyes welled up. A mother's wish for her cub
To eat well.
He bowed deeply.
The
lioness also nodded slowly and quietly, disappeared. The next morning, prey was there again. And the next day, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, every dawn the lioness brought food. Antelope legs, small antelopes, rabbits, whatever she could catch. Rain or shine, injured or sick, she never missed a single day.
The
lioness knew she couldn't take her cub back. The new male still ruled the
pride.
The moment she returned, the cub would be killed again. But in her longing, in her guilt, in her endless love, the lioness came every day.
She
wanted to see her cub, even from afar. On the 30th day at dawn, the lioness left the prey and sat much longer than usual. She gazed at the house. Through the window, she saw her cub remarkably healthy, wounds completely healed, running around energetically, but they couldn't go back together. The lioness let out a long, very long cry, a final farewell, and then slowly turned and disappeared. After that day, the lioness never appeared again. Mark stood by the window looking at the empty field. At first, worry washed over him.
Had she
given up?
But soon he realized the
lioness hadn't given up. Quite the opposite. She had determined her mission was perfectly complete. She ran 30 kilometers without stopping. She spent the night in the rain for 1 month. She brought food every single day. She did everything a mother could do. Now she completely trusted Mark. Without doubt, without worry, this human will raise my cub well. This person can protect my baby. Perfect trust. Mark nodded, his throat tightened. Mark cared for the cub with devotion. Every day, he disinfected the wounds and fed it nutritious meat. The cub recovered remarkably fast. One day, Mark examined the cub's eyes closely. Something was strange. Albino, but the eyes weren't red. The same amber eyes as regular lions. Most albino lions have red or blue eyes. This was a truly rare case. 6 months passed. The cub became a lively adolescent. 1 year passed.
Now,
Almost a fully grown young male lion. His body was sleek and muscle strong. Those amber eyes remained unchanged.
the
Time for separation had arrived.
he'd
Grown attached. But lions must return to the wild. That was nature's law. Mark had to accept that law. Part of his heart crumbled, but he knew this was best for the lion. Mark loaded the lion into the car and headed deep into the Savanna. After exiting the car, the lion didn't leave, but gazed at Mark.
in
Those eyes were gratitude and farewell. Mark nodded. The lion also slowly nodded and turned to walk deep into the Savanna. Mark stood until he could no longer see him. His chest felt heavy. And now, 1 year later, that lion with amber eyes and his mother were risking their lives to protect Mark. For Mark, and for their own revenge, they faced the old male lion who tried to kill the cub. Years ago, this old male lion was the very one who rose to power 2 years ago and tried to kill the cubs. Now old and weak, driven from the pride, wandering the fringes, the young lion and the old lion faced off. Tension filled the air. The old male looked directly at the young lion, amber eyes. In that moment, memory returned. 2 years ago, the cub he tried to kill, now grown into a young warrior with overwhelming power. The old male was experienced. He already knew he
couldn't win.
to preserve his last pride, he growled once more, then slowly backed away. But it was already a sound of defeat. Not a threat, but a bluff. The old king sadly turned and disappeared deep into the savannah. The sun was setting. The savannah sky
Turned red.
then quickly, darkness descended. Thousands of stars appeared, one by one in the night sky. Cascading starlights softly illuminated the entire savannah. Mark had to return to base camp. As Mark stood to head toward camp, the young albino male lion and the mother lioness stood on either side of him. Like Mark's bodyguards, they stayed close and watched the surroundings. From the darkness, the howling of a hyena pack echoed. The young lion immediately growled in that direction. One threatening roar, and the sound
Stopped.
Throughout the 20 kilometers journey, the two lions never left Mark's side. Starlight lit their path. The Milky Way flowed brilliantly overhead. The mother lioness occasionally turned to look at
Mark.
Her eyes overflowed with gratitude. The young lion walked proudly, no longer a wounded cub, trembling before death. He was destined to become the savannah's new king.
In
Mark's mind, memories from 2 years ago flashed by like a panorama. The mother, who ran 30 kilometers without stopping once. Her figure sitting guard all night in the pouring rain. That love bringing food every single day for a month. Everything was for this moment. That love today saved Mark's life. The stars shone even brighter as if blessing this beautiful
journey.
Mark's legs trembled.
His
stamina had reached its limit, but he couldn't stop. Every time Mark stumbled, the lion let him lean on his body.
warm.
Body heat transferred. What Mark did 2 years ago, the lion was now returning. 20 kilometers. In the distance, the lights of base camp began to appear faintly. The lion stopped. They couldn't go any farther. Mark knelt and looked at the 2 lions. Under the starlight, 3 beings faced each other, human and wild. Animals, but they were family. The young lion slowly approached and gently touched Mark's hand with his nose. Mark's hand trembled as he stroked the lion's face. The mother lioness also quietly approached and rested her head on Mark's shoulder. A reunion after 2 years. Mark's eyes glistened. The lion slowly turned, bathed in starlight. They began walking into the Savanna. 2 white shadows melted into the starlight. Mark remained kneeling until they completely disappeared from view. He couldn't move. The Savanna's night breeze blew softly. Stars were pouring down. Mark slowly walked into camp and thought, maternal love transcends species. Gratitude always returns beyond time. And true love never, ever is forgotten. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe. More moving stories of the wild are coming soon. Thank you.